hang with anybody.
He was like Cyndi Lauper meets Bono.
Yeah. Jay's like, that guy, Man Steve. What a beautiful woman.
Yeah, Guy Jim.
Right.
Boy George was awesome.
Yeah.
For that time, the Culture Club time.
Yeah.
By the time I got to the crying game and he was just a balding guy, it's the same thing. Not in life. I don't like my life gays flamboyant, but my entertainment gays, I like them really flamboyant.
Yeah,
if you're going to do it.
When Elton John came out at the end there and he was just slamming those little sausages on the thing and looking like he wanted to get out of there, it was over. Him dressed like a fucking ostrich and playing with his heels, the coolest thing ever.
Right. Well, don't forget our parents loved Liberace, and they had no idea Paul Lynde and Liberace were flaming homosexual. They just thought they're different. They're fun.
Yeah.
There was like
Ellen and Bernie.
someone I saw recently, like in a magazine cover that was like how they really just didn't know, and it was like Liberace gives us 5 things to make a desirable woman or something like that. It's like they didn't know. And not only that, the Liberace story was so great because not just gay, he was gay for himself. So he just got a boy toy and made him get the face surgery, made him get plastic surgery until he looked like Liberace.
Is that the gayest you could be?
Gay for yourself? Yeah. Auto gay?
Is that literally like the Mount Olympus of gay?
I think all gay couples start to look like each other.
Yeah.
Because they ultimately just want to have sex with themselves. Like, they start going to the same barber. They get the same kind of layered gel thing. They get the same, whether it's Banana Republic.
No, it goes for bear. You're right. It's like 2 bears or 2. It's very rarely like a twink walking around with a guy in a flannel shirt.
You're saying Bert and Tom are gay?
I'm saying that Bert and Tom
are gay
if
for
we're taking
themselves.
any duo that could be gay that's not out there gay, it could be Tom and Bert.
Yeah.
And something tells me Bert's a unaggressive bottom.
I'd be a screaming bottom. I'd
be like, no, I changed my mind. I mind. I don't want to do this. I like girls.
Does that hurt them or help them if they come out as gay?
Who? Wait.
Bert and Tom.
If they come out, does it? Oh, it hurts.
Yeah.
I think it hurts.
Yeah.
I don't think a bunch of gay people now go all of a sudden like, oh, now I like him because he's gay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I don't think so. Who could being gay save?
A lot of people.
Epstein. What do we find out? Harvey Weinstein had to do all those chicks, but he was really just closing up his mind to his gay. He was just trying to prove he wasn't gay to his brother.
Hey.
It is funny
always saying he's gay.
If that's the final grappling hook, you're like, no, wait, I'm gay. Oh, that's why you had kids in your basement.
Well, I like the posthumous gay thing is the funniest to just lay it on somebody hard afterwards. That was Aaron Hernandez. Remember, I was like, this guy's a vicious psychopath who had CTE and didn't care about anybody. And he goes, no, actually, he was just fucking a guy and didn't want people to know. Oh, God. His dad was like, no, he's a sociopath. No. He was a stone-blooded killer. This had nothing to do with fucking his... And then the guy... In that documentary, wasn't the guy from high school? Was like, yeah, we used to kiss a bunch.
Yeah, he called red lights kissing moments when we were a kid. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, they tried to soften up Hitler a little bit with the gay thing. He's an artist. He paints. He's gay. Oh, all right.
Oh, you know what's disturbing is that Hitler, we looked this up recently, fantastic artist.
No.
They've brought up some of his work. Very, very good artist.
No really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
No.
Unless like these are all lies.
No.
But I mean, like that's
That's not possible.
He's a really good artist.
Hitler painting
beauty.
Wow. Look at that stroke work right there. Oh, wow.
He goes, you put in a happy little tree and exterminate them all. And then you come back here and you can make it a sunset if you want or a moonset. It doesn't matter.
This looks like a beautiful castle, but notice the windows don't open. And there is steam.
It's one big oven.
This is a river for the perfect race to swim in.
Oh, man. It is funny just to think of the guy who I've never seen doing anything other than like scream yelling at an audience.
His foot.
At some point was just doing like the thumb up to the thing like, no. Cadmium yellow and all the Bob Ross colors.
Yeah.
Cadmium yellow.
Wow, that is gorgeous to the right there.
Oh, by the way, landscapes, portraits. The guy
I
Had it.
know.
The guy was a triple threat. Now we know that.
Yeah.
He really was.
Wait, what's the third?
Let's see, painter, Holocaustist,
Public
and,
speaking?
public speaking.
Oratorium?
and say what you will, the guy threw down his speech.
Captivating man.
He has Joe Rogan delivery.
Speaking of delivery, did you see Obama make a dick joke about Trump yesterday in the
Yeah,
DNC?
he did something like that. I didn't see
Yeah.
what the joke was. Yeah, find that.
It was funny.
Find Obama's dick
It
joke.
killed.
I went to the doctor today,
Oh.
and the doctor came in, it's my ENT, and I went to go see her older Indian lady. She's a sweetheart. Knows that I'm a comic, and she comes in the room. She goes, "You've been getting into all the DNC, RNC stuff," and one of the things when she says it, you're like, "I have no idea where this lady falls at all, and I don't give a shit either direction." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she just goes, "All the speeches last night were just so wonderful," and then I just do exactly what I say on stage. I just go, "Yeah. I mean, we know Obama, man. The guy knows how to lay it down." And she was like, "Oh, Michelle Obama." I go, "She should have run for president," right? And then I overstepped because she goes, "No, she doesn't really have experience to do something." I go, "Yeah, you probably do have somebody in there who knows. But I mean, look at Trump. He didn't have to. But yeah." Anyway, can you just jam that camera up my nose and make me do this? Make me wink
You go, but
uncontrollably?
you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
I talked to someone who I would have been 100% convinced was a Trump-hating, far left, and it turned out they were quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And I love this person, but I don't love their politics. So I was just like, yeah, it's all bullshit. I hate all of them. We're all gonna die anyway. So, I love you.
Yeah, I don't know if I go. I don't know if I by the J thing. I don't care one way or the other. You gotta care at this point.
I care, but I just also am running out of people.
No,
in
but
my life.
but
You
my
know what
care.
I lost a lot of them to that guy.
My care is extremely selfish, in that, like, what's going to make everybody not be up in arms all the time? Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
And whatever the outcome to that is fine. If it was Biden jumping back in and getting 4 more years, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really doesn't weigh on me. The most individual things weigh on me. I want to buy a house and I don't want to pay a ton of tax on that.
Right.
It's like, that's really the thing. But
Oh no.
women should be able to get abortions.
Yeah.
If
Right.
I'm allowed to blow deep, thick, hot loads.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
They should be encouraged to have abortions.
100%.
Well, I think it should all go up for a vote. I think that you should, just like having somebody co-sign a mortgage for a house, someone should have to co-sign the baby for you to go forward with the pregnancy.
Oh, a
have to
second
have-
per 1 second.
No,
at least.
10 people that will support you emotionally, possibly financially.
If it all
Yeah,
falls to
maybe
shit,
let you
can you
move
move in
in.
here?
Yeah.
Right. We don't need any solo. What do they call free solo
No.
climbers?
No more Alex Honolds in the world.
No. Takes a village.
You really should. I know it is crazy that people like. I was watching something the other day where it was like maybe in a World Star Hip Hop video. Mothers proud that her 15-year-old is pregnant because that's the age that she got pregnant.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh man.
someone needs to stop this bloodline. Those aren't W's. Like, my daughter did it, man. Let some guy come inside of her before she was old enough to drive.
Right.
Fucking pretty sweet.
Apple
Get to
doesn't
be a-
fall too far from the whore.
To be a 30-year-old grandmother.
Yeah, this is very, very exciting. 30-year-old
A grandmother that doesn't even qualify for AARP.
Right.
Oh, Mike, great news I found out recently. Anyone can get AARP. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
What?
I didn't know that. Anybody. They want people enrolled because they know it's a stigma of being the old person's thing.
Yeah.
So now, any age, you
Well,
can
what
just
do you
sign up for
get?
AA.
What's the benefit?
Discounted
Oh.
car insurance.
Discounted car insurance. I think if any meals before 5 come in at a cheaper rate. Coupons for the Outback Steakhouse and assorted things for Holders Conglomerate. Yeah, right?
You get the code to the Longhorn Steakhouse bathroom across the
I'll
country.
tell you what, though, $10 percent discount coupon on Outback Steakhouse pretty much makes your bloomin' onion free.
Oh, look at that! You get the
Yeah.
Park Inn by Radisson 10% off.
By the
Yeah.
way, have you been to an Outback? Outback? My mom lives in Florida, and there was one of the early Outbacks was down by her in Jupiter, Florida, and they
Nice.
used to have these thick, delicious steaks, butterfly shrimp that were like the size of your fist. Now it's literally like Burger King. It's so bad.
Yeah. But I still have a hankering for it sometimes.
Really?
On the
On
most
the road.
basic level. Well, they get you where they get you is there, and we found out, I think it's ranked number 2 in the world of table bread. And
butter.
their table bread's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What was number 1 was a shock to me. Bobby Kelly called it from a mile away. Never even tried this or had it. Could you want to make a guess? Best table bread?
Oh, that
According to
Franchise place, of course.
It's a surprise, you
That's my
said.
fault.
Olive
Surprised
Garden.
me. Olive Garden was on there,
Cheesecake
but nope.
Factory?
No, Cheesecake Factory was like 5 or something. I thought that would be higher, because Cheesecake Factory was what I was going to say was number 1, or Outback. No, it'll blow your mind. Texas Roadhouse.
Never been.
I've never even been to one,
No.
but there it is. They say that table bread's the best.
I'll tell
Jacob,
you.
you've had it.
Well, I think they call it Texas toast, right?
Is that what they call their thing? No, because it's like cinnamon butter.
No.
Outback Steakhouse's butter is out of this world.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, if you're a restaurant, you serve me frozen butter at this point. I'm ready to jump on Yelp like an old Karen. I can't. Like, come on.
Why are they giving me an ice cold piece of butter that I can't cut or spread without
Pointless.
ripping the bread?
Yeah,
Takes
rips the bread.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've been told it's a simple process to whip the butter up.
And often it's the best steakhouses that do that. They give you the butter with ice cubes on it in the dish.
Dare I say,
Whoa.
Peter Luger Steakhouse gives you a frozen pat of butter.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Hey,
you
what's-
ate your steaks for years.
All right.
What's the name of the cup that they put the butter in?
A ramekin.
A ramekin. Thank you. God damn, I was trying to think of that word yesterday. On the way
Christine
home.
loves the word ramekin. Also, and loves having ramekins. Do you have a house full of ramekins?
We got 3, but I used to be a cook at TGI Fridays, and we worked a lot with Rammies. We called them Rammies.
Little rammies.
Yeah,
Got
another Rammy of jalapenos, Rammy onions. I was the plate nacho guy, so I did all the Mexican food because we couldn't find a Mexican in New York. And that was cultural appropriation. Me doing the plate nacho station,
doing the rammies.
doing
I love
Rammies.
this short order talk. Give me
yeah.
a rammy.
What
Yeah.
was your shittiest job within comedy
What do you mean, doing comedy?
while you're doing comedy? No, I'm
I
saying
never
no,
had a job while I did comedy because you're not going to believe this, and I shouldn't even say it out loud because I feel bad for young comics. I started in Boston while I was in college, and there was so many gigs because it was the comedy boom,
Right.
and I had a car, so I could make $50 a night,
Yeah.
and I was making a living by the time I got out of college. I've never had a job.
I stopped. I wouldn't have called it a living for a long time, but when I started doing comedy, I picked up a couple jobs here and there, but it was
Yeah.
always like bullshit stuff that I'd quit in a few weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't worth it. How much sleep I'm not getting, especially driving back from Philly to New York.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was able to work the black circuit enough, and that'll pay more
Yeah.
in this shorter term. And then, exactly you said, just getting through on like spot pay and everything,
Yep.
and make it work. But like, yeah, I lucked out to never have to get like
Yeah,
a
it was
job.
It was like every Chinese restaurant in New England, New Hampshire, Maine. They all had like Chinese restaurants always had banquet rooms that they used 2 nights a week, and so like every fucking hustler in Boston was like Tuesday night comedy night in Nashua or East Providence, and they would just put up a sign that said comedy, and it was so hot then that people just showed up and they paid $15 a head. They get 200 people in the room, and then they pay us. I got 200 to headline, 100 to feature, 50 to open. So they were paying out $350 and making 10 grand in cash at the door every night. There was these bookers that had like, on any given week they had 15, 20 shows.
Yeah, the Brad Axelrods and the Dick Dohertys.
Dick
and
Doherty.
Yeah,
Why'd
Dick-
you start in Boston?
Connecticut. I started in Connecticut.
Dick Doherty was the guy I was thinking
Yeah.
of actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philly had those guys. It was like Paul, what was his name? Paul Scarpati, and all his gigs were like, "Hey, you doing the old Spaghetti Warehouse gig or whatever?" All these places.
Well, you guys did a lot of firehouses too, right? Or is that a more recent thing?
That's Jersey.
No, I didn't do too much Firehouse stuff. No, when I started this, there was a black circuit, so these shows that were equally bad in the sense of like how bad it could go, as like an empty show, but like wild situation. The black ski trip shows were the most intense things I've ever done as far as like, it's just set up to go bad. Black people sign up for a ski trip weekend, and then they go, realizing none of them ski. No black people ski. They're just going to dominate this Holiday Inn, this little small Holiday Inn, and dominate it. They do.
Yes.
And then the main hall is just people dancing with like DJ, and I mean dancing. It's all black people, so hump dances. People
Yeah.
are on the ground. making out.
Yeah.
That weird Jamaican shit where they go to the top rope and elbow a fat chick.
Yeah. It goes from purple suits to pajamas and slippers quick, dude. No middle ground. They get comfy.
And then they would go, and we'd get there, and all the things that were happening at once was, they're looking at me, I go, hey, we're here, we're the comedians. I bring another comic with me, a friend of mine, so some goofy white kid probably. And they'd look at the flyer, and they'd be looking at me and going like, I thought Will Sylvans and Talent were coming to be the comics. Because what the scam was ultimately, and I'm not naming Will and Talent, a bazillion other comics did this. This was the play, was you get a young comic like me, who is like $700 a show, you're doing 2 shows, and you have to go from Ithaca to Binghamton. That was the route of this. And then you just drive home if you want afterwards or spend the night at the place. Couple hours away, you make $1,400 as a young comic. I mean, it was crazy. But you'd find out what they'd do is they'd get a budget for a name in the black circuit, like Talent or Rob Stapleton, any of these guys, and they'd say it's a $5,000 budget, actually. And then they'd go, and then these people wouldn't over complain. They're like, they think they're sending a good comic, so like whatever. But young enough to not know the thing, and they're probably not going to complain. If they do, they give them back a couple bucks or so. Either way, they're making out they've done nothing. They've just made 2 phone calls and stole money.
That's beautiful.
It was a beautiful situation. But those shows, so they're going there. One, they're going like, I thought my man from Def Jam was going to be here today, and you're like, nope, just us.
Yeah.
Just me and Warren Holstein. And Warren went on a couple of these with me.
Being untalented.
And man, we go in this thing, and then they go, all right, man, fine. And then they go whisper to a DJ, and the DJ goes, all right, everybody, take your seats now. We're going to start a comedy show in a few minutes. And this is people have to come out of, like, aggressive dry humps to be like, what harsh light turns on. And then they just sit at, like, banquet tables on the same floor that you're going to be on.
Yeah.
With no spotlight of any kind and just going. And, I mean, they were hell gigs, but, I mean, like, they paid so good. And the one time that I went there, I got there, and it happened to be, it was just a white audience. It was like a white ski trip they did. And I went there, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Now I'm going to go, like, kill with comedy. Maybe I'll get laid. This will be great. And I brought Kurt Metzger with me. And this other guy, Larry B. And when we start the show, these white people are the worst ski trip audience I've had at any. They're the most like yelling out, entitled. Like the other crowd was just kind of like not giving it up, and they were like, you know, kind of turn. This from the get-go, they were like, say something about my friend, blah blah blah. You know, and you're like, all right, buddy, like chill out. And they're going. And at one point, and I'm getting way past. I don't have the skills at this point in comedy to be like, how could I humiliate this person who's doing this with words and really make them feel like shitty? I'm getting angry. And the guy goes, these 3 dudes stood up, and they turned their backs on me. I was always described like, remember the Kumite in Bloodsport when he killed the guy, and the 3 judges stood up and turned their backs, and the guy was like, what? I dishonored the Kumite? They turned their backs on me, and I think I made that joke that nobody got. It's the only time I've ever seen 3 men stand up and turn around synchronized. I'm like, oh, guys, like the Kumite.
Quick.
Did I disrespect the Kumite? Yeah. And everyone in the room was like, what? And I was like, I thought it was a great reference. And one kid pulls his pants down and pulls his ass out, and I was like, I started making jokes. I'm like, hey, dude, put your ass away before I come butt fuck you for the street credit or something like that. And then he starts walking backwards towards me with his ass out. And he comes over, and while all his friends are laughing, dude, this took me back to being laughed at in a circle in school, which I don't even know if that ever happened. I'm just picturing being a boy in school and everyone's pointing and laughing at me, because he comes over and starts rubbing his ass cheeks like on my leg and my pants, and I'm just holding a microphone, and I'm like, and I just whisper in his ear, I go, dude, if you just put your hands on me, I'll be happy to beat the shit out of you. Like, no microphone on that. And he turns around, and he was like, yeah, and he just like, he's so drunk, and he just like pushed me like that, and I just hit him with everything I had in his chest. And he slid across like the tile floor of like a gymnasium or whatever the fuck it was, you know. And then his friends were there, and his friends, were still standing up, and they were looking over like, what the fuck. I look back. The 2 things I see is funny. Larry B, I don't see at all. Kurt is still sitting with the knee to knee cross leg,
Watching.
like mouth open. I was like, Kurt, hey bud, I think this is it.
Hey,
We're in it now.
You want to look over and you want to see him like rolling his knuckles in broken glass and shit.
And the
getting ready.
guys, yeah. Kurt's like slapping himself with a whip over his shoulder. Been waiting for this.
Bud
Got
Light
chalk.
bottles
Where did
on
he
his
get
head.
white chalk?
Kurt
Slapping himself a little bit. And
Place at the
and his friend
table.
stood up and I was like, and his friend just went. It was just so funny. Like they just had the back down line first. He was like, dude, if you do that again, dude, that's fucking. We'll kick your ass. And I was just like, again.
Yeah.
Like it's like like the guy, he's done. Like that part of it's over. So they just kind of went. And then by the way, we still mingled. Like we still after the show, we still mingled that night.
Yeah.
Because you're still at crawl. You're like,
Yeah.
doesn't even look like. Talk about a time when you didn't have. I did. If I bombed, I wouldn't hang around and hope that there was someone to talk to or something. But like for sure, if I did like okay,
Yeah.
if you still like hang around, and be like maybe someone thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
No, the worst was the seller used to do these comedy. Were you around for the comedy cruises?
Oh yeah.
Dude, they were brutal. You'd go out on like the Circle Line, basically, kind of boat, and you just cruise around and you just stand up, and it was a lot of like Staten Islanders and just drunks.
Well, don't forget, Esty also, she treated it like she wanted to be like Stravinsky.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Like, so you don't even know. You're outside like playing. 2 hours in, you're probably like, I guess I'm not going on,
Yeah.
whatever. And then she's like, you're next. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
what?
no way.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
It would just be like that.
There was no lineup. It was
No
just like,
lineup.
she's going to come and go and get you at some point and say, you're on now.
Well, it is like for Esty is that's an interesting metaphor that she's Stravinsky because she's very concerned with who goes where, and she would always say like, I haven't been a New York comic in a long time, but it used to be. And Darrell Hammond went on, and he lit a goat on fire, and I tell he could not follow it. Greer Barnes went on. He got the entire audience stoned, and Greg Gorgel could not follow it.
Could not follow
He was
it.
always saying he couldn't follow
That's
it.
hilarious, dude. That is so funny.
That's,
There is. It is funny though, those like suburban like steak and a giggle rooms where just like everyone's so entitled, like you're talking about, like just that suburban energy.
Yeah.
Well, to get caught.
Of like
I think
pick on this guy or
I
like
think
on the
Boston-
cul-de-sac
Yeah.
guy.
I think Boston had a lot of that, and Philly did too. Because it's funny to go back and just think of names you started with, but that could become so comfortable that you're like, well, I didn't really want to do more than that. And if you even have like a side gig, if you have a side gig where you just like own a construction company and don't have to do construction and do comedy, like make a nice life for yourself and be a thing in Boston. I mean,
Yeah,
people were doing
yeah.
it. So I said that's why those guys. There's legend names from Boston. The one most that comes up to me is always Steve Sweeney.
Yeah.
And like you wouldn't even know his name at all if it wasn't for like like not a young comedian special, but one of those Aspen something. He did one of like the
No, I think he did
Comics
one
Come
of the
Home. It's Comics Come Home.
Comics
is what it
Come
was.
Home, and also the Farrelly brothers have put him in a few movies.
A few, as I was going to
Yeah,
say. So he's been in a bunch of their movies. The Farrelly brothers from up there, but it's he's just a guy who's like,
Well,
and,
even like-
and I don't. Did he ever Did he ever try and just go? It's not for me, New York, or.
I
or
think he just for a minute, and Don Gavin's the same way.
Don
Like I
Gavin,
consider Don Gavin to be maybe top 5 comics I've ever seen in my life.
and Tony
Just-
V, is that another one?
Tony V is amazing.
Just did
Kenny
one.
Rogerson's really great.
Did Aruba with Jim Colleton. He was there. Do you know that guy
No.
from Boston? I think he may be a generation younger than you
Okay.
guys.
No, these
But
guys
he was
were
talking
older
about
than me.
those guys
Yeah,
as
they're,
like the Mount
they're
Olympus.
still great. And and then there's these guys like talking about having a side guy job. There was a guy named Paul. He had 2 names. One was he was a district attorney, and the other one was a comedian. Like nobody was gonna figure out I was the same guy. Like he was Clark Kent.
He had his comedy
And,
glasses.
like,
Well, no, you
every-
see, the comedian me has a curl in the front.
He doesn't wear a suit. He wears a sweatshirt with the sleeves rolled up.
Comedy me wears my hat backwards.
Yeah.
That's a strange crossover of occupation, by the way. How many lawyers ended up in comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bonk,
I
right?
know.
Geraldo.
Right.
Vince
very
August,
famously.
I think, was one.
Really? Oh, Vince August was a judge,
Oh, was
I
he?
believe. Yeah, I think he was an actual judge. There was a guy. It was funny when I first started comedy in Philly. One of the few white comics that were at the club. His name, he would go by Cousin Vinny. Was his thing, and he this is actually pretty funny. Okay, and he would always travel around with this guy named Rich Subio, who was just a big white dude, kind of wigger energy, wore like football jerseys and big chains, shaved head, you know, like jean shorts, like a big kind of like, it looked like a football player almost. Traffic judge. And he just hung out with this guy who was lightly mafia affiliated. But, you know, these are guys who just stayed in Philly. So I remember this part of the story when I went back, my high school crush said, hey, I'm having this beef and beer event.
A Steinhoist?
I'm having a beef and beer. If you want to come, I'd love to have you come do comedy on it. And this is a point where I'm like, this is a big ask, actually. Which is, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I'll be there. And Christine's going with me. This isn't about like hooking up with her. She's married with kids and all this stuff. It was just like, I got no attention from her. Let me go blow the roof off this beef and beer for her. And it'll be pretty awesome when I come out of this. It's going to look really good for me. So me and Christine go down there, and Rob Mayo, our friend Rob Mayo, goes down to this gig, and we go on there, and this cousin Vinny guy, he said he knows you, the guy hosting. His name is Vinny. He's using his full name now, 20 years later. And he's hosting the show tonight, actually. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. So he says he knows you. I'm like, and then I see him, and I go, oh, Jesus, it's that guy. He's now older. I think he's dating this very young girl, but he was dating a very young girl before who died suddenly, which is strange. And then when he's bringing me up on stage, he was trying to tell me before he goes on, he goes, yeah, I haven't been doing comedy too much. I started doing boxing announcing now. Boxing announcing's kind of like my big thing. I go, cool. And he goes, so, how tall are you, Jay? And I go, 6'3". And he goes, what do you weigh? And I go, I go, why? And he goes, because when I do the announcing now, I always do like the ring announce. I go, your next guy, 6 foot, whatever, weighing it, whatever, the heavyweight champion. I'm gonna give you a hold, the heavyweight king. And I was like, you could just say Legion of Skanks and Bonfires. Comedy Central.
Yeah, dude, we're at a beef and brew.
I'm okay. Yeah, clubs and colleges would suffice. Over what you're gonna go tell everybody my weight. But I'm sorry, where I'm messing up the story was he asked me how tall I was, how much I weigh, and at the time what's funny was my heaviest weight ever was 340.
No.
At the time I was probably 280.
Damn.
I was probably 280, and I go 280, and then I go why, and then he tells me why, and I was like, oh no, don't do that for me, please. He goes, no, it's a good thing, and I go, I'm like, well, if you could not, it would be great. And he was like, oh, he said he wouldn't, and then when he's bringing me up, we have a video of it somewhere. Are you looking for it? Where he shows my face. I know it's so far away. When he shows my face, because he's on stage, he goes, oh, are you guys ready for your headliner? This guy was weighing in at 6'3", weighing in at 300 pounds. He just added weight to it. He was weighing 300 pounds.
He rounded up.
You just see my face go, oh. So I went up there. I had a really fun set, like fucking with the crowd and everything. It was good. It was like a cool thing. It was Philly and whatever. It was pretty easy to do. She's running around like a maniac. The girl doesn't pay attention to the show at all. So she's not being wooed by my comedy at all. She just like, sounds like he's doing good, like I thought he would. And then when we're leaving, she's standing there and she hands me a check in an envelope. She was giving me $300 or something. And I go, no. Here, Jessica.
Oh, you got $1 a pound?
I go, yeah, $1 a pound. I go, no, please. Christine is not even looking at me when I tell the story. She's so humiliated by how much this girl from high school doesn't give a shit still. And I slide the check back. I go, no, you keep it. She goes, yeah, I already wrote the check though. And I was like, yeah, but I was like, but I'm saying like take it and just like rip the check up and just keep the money in the thing for the kids and the dance team or whatever. And she's like, all right. And
And that was it.
yeah, and I was like, all right, well, thanks for having me, whatever. And we left, and we get outside, and Rob Mayer just goes, man, she still doesn't give a fuck about you. It's like so, it's like she doesn't give a shit. Do we have drops from her? We have Janessa drops?
That's
Jay, that's
brutal.
such a lie.
Hey, you used to like Samantha Montavani.
That is
No.
hilarious. Did you were stag parties a thing in Massachusetts? Because that was a
Yeah.
Connecticut thing where it was
Yeah,
like,
there was a stag party I went to out in Worcester one time, and I drive out, and it was like a bar that had windows out onto the parking lot. So I'm in the parking lot, and I look in, and I can see them, and it's fucking madness. And there's a strip, like if you have a stripper close the curtains.
Well,
Yeah.
can you
Go in the
explain?
back
Because
room.
I want to see if you guys have the same thing in mind. Because when Mike used to say stag party to me when we first started hanging out, I just assumed that was like a weird, like New England name for like a bachelor party. And it sort of is, but it's very specifically a thing. Because you said it starts off like the ones you said. It starts off guys and girls, and then it divulges into a guys
Yeah, like,
hookers thing.
yeah, well, like wives and girlfriends and sisters and stuff will come bring
Yeah.
food, like, and set up the catering and stuff, and then
And
they
then you make them
they
take
leave,
their clothes off.
and then they leave, and then they help set up like the there's always a raffle table.
Wow.
And there's like, so the beginning is like pulled pork, sausage and peppers, whatever. And then the old guys leave and the kids leave. And then the stripper comes.
So the wife
and then
gets
it
the
gets-
assist on the unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah.
Now,
It is your fault, babe. Why'd you make it so inviting
But the
for these
women aren't like
prostitutes?
hanging out. They're there setting up. And
That's
then they
amazing.
bounce.
That's
But I was
amazing.
thinking more. To me, bachelor party is like. Well, I've bumped into people I've been at bachelor parties with before. Like I'm not talking about like Sal's where we all went to Vegas and it's like a beautiful time altogether. I'm talking about a place where it's like guys are going into a bathroom 3 at a time while there's just girls chugging cock in each
Yeah,
bathroom
and there's one
stall.
person like payphone calling for
And when,
coke and shit.
when a guy goes, dude, I haven't seen you since so and so's bachelor party, you go,
Yeah. Yeah.
That never happened. But it was all to raise money for the groom, Stags.
Oh, that's right.
So
Now
instead
this-
of going to like a strip club, it was like, let's have the lowest common denominator hooker here.
Yeah, no, this girl wasn't a hooker, but she was a stripper. And I walk in, and nobody. It was a surprise that there was going to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like, nobody wants to go from a naked woman dancing around to a guy doing stand-up comedy. And I had like, they gave me all these things. He sells shoes, so you can do like foot fetish show. I'm writing jokes. I'm kind of new at it, so I'm like writing tons of pages and pages. I'm trying out material. And I show up, and it's like in like McGuire's pub with the window. And so I park the car, and I go inside, and I go, yeah, I'm gonna do the comedy. I go, is there somewhere I can put my notes? And they're like, no, just go out. There's no microphone. Just go out and tell your jokes and roast them. So I go out, and I'm standing there, and they had peanuts. And I just start getting hit, like one peanut, and then another peanut, and then like a lot of peanuts, and a lot of laughter, and I go, hey, you guys are an amazing crowd. You know what? I bet you guys like props. Do you like props? And they're like, yeah, we like props. And I go, all right, I'm gonna go. That's my car right there. I'm gonna go. They're in the trunk. I'm gonna go grab my props. And I go outside, and I open the door to my car, and they're all looking, and I just fucking flip the bird, and I get in and I drive off. They go through me through the window.
That's fantastic.
hey, you guys like.
They're like, back to the hooker.
He goes, yeah, I got a slut in the car. I'm gonna fuck all you guys. Want me to go let her out?
You guys want 30 pounds of coke? I got it in my trunk.
I performed for a bachelorette party once in a hotel room in New York. They gave me $200, and if it was dudes, I don't know if I would have had like the balls even to do, because it wasn't like a shitty thing, but just like the organization of like telling these girls, I was like, what you girls think you want me to do is a horrible idea for everybody. I go, everyone's sitting down already. I go, let me bring a chair here with you guys, and we'll smoke a joint, and we'll tell me about your things, and I promise you'll laugh and have like a funny conversation.
Yeah.
Like, tell me your goofy story about the thing. Versus me going up there and goes, so, hey, where's that sock go in the dryer? Am I right? I mean, I only have one dryer. It's in my house. There should be a... Hello?
That is weird, by the way.
In a hotel room, too.
Yeah.
Like, you're just straight up in like, you went to like room 413
Yes.
to do comedy.
Yeah.
In a room.
Jesus Christ, that's insane.
And they put there's no microphone, but they had a microphone stand really, and you just, so you can kind of stand in front of it, and so, so you have the
Give me
feel.
something to lean on.
So you have the feel. What if I was like, no, I have my own, and I pull out like the Titus? I go, the problem with marriage is, it all leans towards the women's benefit.
I did a benefit show, and the microphone wasn't working, and the guy handed me a breadstick. And he goes, at least you got something to hold.
Yeah.
And when a joke didn't do well, I just started like eating the breadstick.
Dude, the
So I went
place you
through like
went,
6 breadsticks.
it's my favorite phone calls I got from you, Mikey, on the road from like a hell gig. Because Mikey started after I did.
In Philly?
So like, no, he's
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Oh, right.
So
What
we-
town?
Where did I start? New Haven.
Oh.
Joker's Wild. Do you remember
The
Joker's
mob,
Wild?
that mob.
Yeah, that place. That's where I started.
Mike told one of those mob biker guys to not kill me.
Really?
Yeah, and by the way, the guy didn't have a problem with me at all. He was just letting me know that he would kill me if Mike didn't co-sign for me, which was strange. That was like my third time meeting Mike also, by the way. I'm like,
We
"Hey,
became
Mike."
real tight real fast. But with the road, I called you on the road.
Oh, great. Because I said, so I'm like here, I'm like reliving a lot of like the nightmare stories through Mike going through them at the current time when he was telling you with these. This is some years back, but where is the place when the guy was like, at the end you were like, well, you're like, kitchen's done when the shows were, when you were like, I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, I did the shows, I want to eat. And then they go, they gave him like a Ziploc bag of pulled pork.
There's a place. It was a suburb of St. Louis. I get picked up at the airport, and the guy who picks me up goes, "The owner said you're gonna bring me out to lunch and talk to me about comedy." And I'm like, "I don't know what. I got a meeting." And he's like, "Oh, New York comic, too big for us road guys." And I'm like, "I don't. Sure, let's go to lunch." He like guilted me into it. And like we could have some bullshit conversation. We go to the club. It's an old strip club. Mirrors everywhere still. Still has the whole motif of like a strip club. The owner gets up on stage in between the feature.
This is the things on the table.
In
right?
between the feature and me, and goes, "Everybody, if you notice on your tables are those wands of light, like at a circus, you
Yeah.
buy like the waves of thing." He goes, my daughter, give it up for my daughter. She's the waitress. She's going to college soon. I could really use some money. So the more drinks you order, it'll go towards her college fund. And now, real quick, let's do a prayer for the troops.
But you're not even saying
And
what
he
he's
does it-
asking you to do though when you want to drink. Instead of like looking for the
It's
thing,
wave
kind
a
of
fucking-
is
yeah.
take a thing of light switches and go like this, and then until you get their attention, which is
Yeah.
definitely going to get your attention.
Definitely get mine, yeah. And then he goes, now real quick,
Table
let's-
15 wants a drink, please God.
He goes, let's do a prayer for the troops. And he does like Lord Jesus Christ and does like a prayer for the troops. Which, look, I'm all for, but right before the fucking, you're going to do that as a guest spot? It's weird. And then I go up and I get off stage, and it was a horrible show. And I get off and I'm like, I'm starving. Do you guys have food? Is there anything? And he goes, nah, we're all done. He goes, let me see what I got for you. And he goes in the back and he comes back with a Ziploc freezer bag of just wet pulled pork with like a little bit of cheddar on it, and like not a fork, not bread, and he just slaps it against my chest and goes, "Here you go, buddy. Bring that back to the hotel." And I just have like a pillowcase of pork, dude.
You need to have a thing, like a
Even have
sad
a-
shit.
He didn't even give me a fork.
Yeah.
And I just had this pork bag.
Yeah.
And I went to the hotel, threw it against the wall of the hotel outside. I was so pissed. And then I go in the next day. A guy who was a local comic goes, make sure you get paid cash, because this dude bounces checks like a motherfucker. So I go in. Remember I told you I asked him for cash? And he pulled all the waitresses in and goes, everybody empty your aprons, because New York over here needs cash. And they're all like, well, we need, and he's like, it's all right, I'll pay you this week when the check's clear. And I'm like, you're making me steal from your fucking, dude, it was brutal.
You go home with change.
Literally wet dollars and shit.
I love the amenities of the place. Yeah, Paco was with me when we went to Jacksonville, right? That was Jacksonville last time, and they're like, "You guys, free access to the buffet." It's a motel, the Jacksonville Comedy Zone.
Yep, I've been there. It was it was, I think, the first paid gig I got in my entire life.
I still enjoyed it. One, the club itself is good.
Yeah.
The actual comedy club is good.
Yeah.
You did it before, yeah.
Yes.
It's a good comedy club. It's not the hotel that it's in, which, by the way, to their credit, you could stay somewhere else if you want. I'm always like, dude, drop me in Beirut. Let's watch it happen. Let's watch abused women come there in the middle of the night with their sad kids.
Yeah.
Everyone's got
Yeah.
black eyes.
It feels
Everyone's
like,
fat and thin.
It feels like
9-year-olds breastfeeding.
If a door kicks out, they're all aware of the prostitutes everywhere, but then they're like, you could have some of that buffet food. And I mean, me and Paco ate it 2 of the 3 days.
Yeah.
That buffet. And just with the things, you're like, this is fine. And then they're really hyping like all you can eat crab legs and all this stuff. And you're like, all right. And we're having at it. I'm not going crazy, but we're eating it. And then we came back here on the show. You were here, right, when we looked up the Yelp reviews of that place. And so it's like, how did my steak have feathers in it? It's like just things that don't even make any sense.
Dude, I worked. That was my first. Honestly, I think it was my first paid gig. It was back when you used to mail out VHS tapes to clubs on the road. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you'd go on the road and you'd walk into the manager's office and you would see floor-to-ceiling stacks of VHS tapes. You'd be like, oh, that's why the guy didn't get back to me. So I go to Jacksonville, and I've never left Boston. I've been doing comedy in Boston for a few years, but I've never left. I've never gone on the road. And I get down there, and I walk in the gift shop, and there's this little Florida honey. She's got to be 17 years old, and I'm flirting with her, and she comes to the show, and then after the show, she comes back to my room, and she gives me a blowjob. And then she makes the mistake of asking me to have sex. I'm like, I'm one and done, baby. I'm
Boston, baby.
I'm like 24, but I'm still.
You already know you're one and done at 24.
Guy at 24, and so she got mad at me and she yelled at me, and I came home thinking like, oh, this is what the road is like. You just always get blowjobs, and then it was years before
Your first
I got another one.
Yeah, the first one being a biggie.
Yeah.
Well, you probably set your standards too high, man. I would go out with a tell when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it was, whatever washed up at the very end, I was happy to be like, let's go.
You're like, I'm not one and done. I promise.
Then when you're done, then when you are done, you put on each other's clothes by accident.
Oh, God.
That's a big shit.
You're like, oh, this is your Tweety Bird shirt.
Dude, I've seen some, what I can only describe as heaving backs when I've looked down at a blowjob, and you just see like it looks like you have to quietly escape while they're asleep still and not make them move. Like,
you're looking at dough rising.
oh, dude.
Wow.
Where you just see tension in big round shoulders. You know what I mean? It's like, if you push it, it's just tight as shit.
Just tire flipping.
Yeah.
And the calves are really hard and defined from pushing all that weight around.
I want to hit her with that thing that checks tires. And you go ping, ping, ping. Now, these things are good.
It's got about another 2 seasons in it.
She's made of radial. She's steel radial.
You're fucking the Michelin Man at the fucking.
I've learned though in life. I did learn eventually never to, as I would never want somebody to push me out of my comfort zone of like, don't give me the like, no, take your tank top off. I think your body's great. And you're like, yeah, but you're wrong. So I'm going to leave it on. I've learned to never pressure something like that. I goes, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And just take it off. He goes, oh, you're burned across your entire back. It would have been better if I didn't know that.
You're like, keep your Patagonia fleece on, please.
She goes, no, I don't like taking my shirt off. There's something terrible. You go, I'm sure it's fine, and you're overreacting. Oh, a complete tuft of hair between your tits? Ah!
A third shoulder.
I was wrong, and now I can't get it out of my head, so putting the stuff back on is not going to help.
Well, is that the fire alarm?
By the way, not to go back too much, but the real moral of that story is if you're going to have, first of all, you don't need a comedian at every possible event. It doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And at a bachelor party, like you went and did the thing at, you certainly don't need to, hey, everybody want to get worked up with boners and then sit and watch a guy shit on you for a little bit?
Just like I was thinking that with your ski trip. Like these guys are heavy humping, and then they got to tuck their cocks into their belt and sit down.
They, as promoters or people who ever put this together, would do a better thing if when we got there and goes, we're paying you guys because we planned the thing, but everyone's kind of dancing now and stuff, so just don't even worry about it. Versus going like, no, we're paying you. Stop having fun and do something you don't like now. So then you're like, oh, we're going to make this fun by ruining this guy's day.
Yeah. Did you ever do one like a hotel show on off the highway? And I remember Wisecrackers in Allentown. And the Precious Evenings Swingers Convention was at the same hotel.
Oh, I did a furry one down in Houston about 2
And they were
years
dressed.
ago. They were in full furry outfits. And I walked in, I was like, look at this freak show. And then every time I would see one, they look at me with their big rejected eyes. Like their whole lives they've been rejected, and now they're accepted. And it was like, I've never felt joy. I've never felt inclusion. Like, they would hug you. They'd come up and go, do you want a hug? And I go, fuck it, you're Tigger? Yeah, I'll take a hug. And so all weekend, they just kept hugging me, and I started hanging out in the lobby just to be around their energy. It was amazing.
Oh, that's
and I was
so
like, maybe
great.
I need an outfit.
I had that gig, the House of Comedy in Minneapolis, did a thing years ago.
That's the one in the mall?
Yeah. and they put you at this Ramada across the parking lot that was definitely haunted by native spirits.
Oh, the Fort Hiawatha Inn.
Yes,
Yeah,
it had like
totem pole.
it had like a totem pole, and it was just very Indian themed, and just one level, very shitty rooms, indoor pool in the middle of the whole thing. So the whole place smelled like old man balls. That's the only thing I relate that to. Because whenever I would be in an indoor pool at the Jewish community center when I was younger, it was just I just related to the smell of an old man's balls as he's drying them and letting it all wing around.
Just a bleachy sack.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
bleachy.
That's
Is the
like
right word.
I used to-
Chlorine nuts.
I used to go to the Friars Club as a kid. My father was in radio, like yourself, Jay.
Yeah.
And he was a member of the Friars Club. So when I was a little kid, he'd bring me to the Friars Club, and he'd bring me in the fucking steam room. I was like 9, and it was like Henny Youngman and Alan King and all these guys with their balls out. And I honestly was like, what? I go, what the fuck is going on here? Why are you making me look at this? And he's like, it's a man's thing. This is what men do. They go to steam rooms together. And now I'm like, no, they really don't. That was weird.
He goes, that's one guy convinced everybody else that was the thing to do.
Yeah, some Russian.
That is so funny.
No, it's good.
That's like.
But this hotel, this Ramada, that smelled all. I found out like when Dan Soder went one time to that gig, he goes, the Radisson Blu is open now, attached to the mall, and it's a much nicer hotel, and it's right. You can walk through a, air bridge or a sky bridge, and you're in the mall. Oh, it's great. And when I get there, the guy picks me up, and they're driving me to the manager of the club, and they drop me up front of this Ramada, and I was like, oh, I thought they're doing Radisson Blu now. And he makes the mistake. He no longer works there, I believe. He made the mistake of just going, yeah, it's weird. He goes, the lady who books it, it's just like because at the beginning of the year, she goes through the lineup and says, like, put this person in the good hotel, put this one in the fucking shithole. And basically, I made the shithole list, she was saying. So that's sticking in my ass. Already. Then I get inside, and I'm waiting 50th in line to check in because there's a ferry convention there. In this very small motel, a ferry convention. And I remember going back and almost teary-eyed demanding they move my hotel because the first night when I came home from the shows, I went in my room, and Jacob, you know the story. I went in my room and I was like, I'm hungry, and there's nothing to kind of get around here to eat. This is kind of before Uber Eats and all that shit was even available. And I'm walking, and I go to the front desk, and I was like, is there like vending machines or anything? And they're like, yeah, like down the hall on the right over there. And I was walking down this very long hall of the vending machines, and then a couple, I assume. One looked more feminine, I guess, in clothing, but they were dressed like pirate crows. And I don't mean like Brandon Lee's the crow. I mean like they had crow faces on, beaks and everything, but like pirates with rubber gloves. And they're looking at the vending machines, and they're not talking. They're pecking head at each other. Scared. I was like, that's what I said. I went in my room. I was like teary-eyed, and I was like, I have to go somewhere else.
So fucking great. They're pecking at the corners. They're trying to peck A2.
Like them just looking at each other. They were like, And by the way, I'm far enough down the hall, but they may have been saying like, do you want baked Cheetos or flaming hot?
These furries. Fuck.
Oh yes,
That whole
sweaty.
convention, it's like squirrels with chimpanzees, like all kinds of mixtures in the wild.
I'm tired of people making any kink sound like it's not sexual. When they be like oh, it's all these guys are in My Little Pony, like it's sexual.
Yeah.
And
It
they're
all
like-
ends when you're
And
coming.
they're like, well, no, you can't fuck a cartoon. He goes, you jerk off and think about fucking that cartoon. It's sexual. You're into this for a sexual reason. What's the point? Like, you know what I mean? No, it's like being in the David Lynch movies.
No. It's always so fun to venture out of your comedy world into whatever's going on in the hotel. I went up to like the Precious Evenings like main room where they were having like that's where you met, and they had trays of keys. And that's where like you and your the people you were gonna fuck that night, you grabbed keys and went off into the room. And it was so wild to just like grab a drink and watch everybody like size each other up and shit.
Yeah.
So like one couple would look at the other, whisper at each other, and be like, she's not my type, whatever, and then go to another one. And I was sitting in the lobby, and a lady came down, just sweating, mascara everywhere. She's like, we're gonna need a lot of towels in room 313. And
I just got gang raped by the Rocky and Bullwinkle cast.
She's like, Inspector Gadget and Dr. Claw both fisted me right now.
Right, the unicorn hurt.
You know, I performed one time for it was in New York City too. I saw it, and they go, it's maybe Gary Vee or somebody came to me and was like, "You want to perform for like a nudist thing?" It was like a nudist night at this place, and I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And I get there, the nudism part started like after the show. It was like 3 people in the room or something, right? You went with me to that, didn't you? I told you, I was like, nobody was like, what a waste of fucking time. Like, hey, you want to just perform for a bad crowd before they do something you want to see that you can't go to also? Actually, they told me I could go to, but they were like, no, but it's nudity. Like, you have to take your clothes off. I'm like, no, that I'm out. Like, I'm not going to do that at all.
No.
I thought I was going to be able to stare at your dicks and pussies while we did this.
What if they let you Winnie the Pooh it with a tank top on? Would you have stayed? Just stood in the like a statue at Caesars in Vegas. You just have to stay still.
If I'm just barefoot and boxer briefs and a tank top. What are you, a superhero?
I hosted the Porn Awards a couple times.
Yeah.
You ever do that?
No, I was. We were not. Our podcast that I did was nominated for an award, so we went 2 of them ago.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this to you the other day. That I'm excited to hear your stories. You know, is Dave coming in? He's coming in. So Dave he's hosted it from before too. So that'll be a fun thing to get into. But when I went, Matt Rife hosted it. But there really wasn't much to hosting it, and also the crazy fun of whatever. And by the way, maybe it's just I'm not aggressive or put myself in the right positions. But from when Norton is the only person I've ever heard stories from. And he made it seem like when you go to this thing, dude, like bring condoms because you're going to have to say no to getting your dick sucked when you have to do something. Like it's so crazy.
He did a train with Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. But mine, by the time it was to mine.
He did.
By the
What
time
a
it was mine,
strange
they're
train
all.
that is.
Well, I think he was
The
the
ugly
caboose
train,
and-
dude.
Yeah, right.
He goes, who was behind?
Jesus.
Look at Thomas the Skank Engine.
Yeah. Train came early.
But I'm saying, but he was in a world.
Toot toot.
He was in a world where that was like this now, and I even asked. I even asked some people who I knew there, like the porn stars. I'm like, where are all? Like, isn't it just supposed to be like orgies and hey, every room 367, there are girls are blowing guys for whatever. And like, I was like, what happens? They go, oh well, now because everyone's their own boss. Like content-wise, that it's like they just come here and film. Everyone's here, so then they go, oh, you've got. It's Julie like you. Oh, you have 360,000 followers, and I have 500,000. Like we should do a.
Yeah.
They don't even call it. They don't even call it fucking. They call it
Yeah.
collabing. Like they're making
Yeah.
a song together.
Well, when I did it, there was none of that yet. When I did it, there was 7,000 people in the audience. It was at the Venetian, and I was hosting it with who's the one that she just died? It's a porn star that just died.
There's a couple recently.
No,
right?
one was huge. She was like one of the
Fuck.
really
The blonde
big
one?
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I can't
Anyway,
think of her name.
so I'm co-hosting with. First of all,
Oh, Jesse Jane.
no, not Jesse Jane.
Calling down a support weapon.
No. So I must exude zero sexuality because nobody asked to suck my dick. Nobody wanted to have sex with me. And then my wife showed up and she was like, because I hosted one without her. And then the second time she was like, yeah, I think I'm coming to this one. And so we get invited to an orgy up in the penthouse. And it's like after the show, they're like, yeah, everybody's gonna fuck. And I said to my wife, like, do you want to go? And my wife's she's from New York City, and she's like, she's seen it all. She's like, yeah, I'll go. What the fuck? So we go up to the penthouse, and there's a lot of milling about. There's a lot of people waiting.
Who starts?
A lot of middle school
It's like,
dance.
it's like the first person to go in the middle of the dance floor and start dancing.
Right. I know. It's always gonna,
Somebody put on the
right.
electric slide so we can start fucking.
Yeah. My school dances. It was always like you waited for hip hop, and the black kids would come out and dance, and then the white kids would join it. It was never the white kids first. And so we go up there, and everybody's milling about, and we're waiting, and Ron Jeremy's there, and there's more and more people showed up that you go like, oh, I don't want to see this at all. And so then, like, this one couple took their clothes off and they're making out, and they were like, they were both trying to stage a comeback in their careers by doing this. And me and my wife were like, we out? And like, yeah, we're out. We just
Let's get the fuck out
took
of
a
here.
slow elevator ride down.
Ron Jeremy's like the Gallagher of orgies. There's like 3 of them running around. He's somehow at is it 2 orgies in
2
different
were in
time
jail.
zones?
Yeah.
We're hanging out with Greg Fitzsimmons on the show, everybody. There
I got
you
a
go.
special
Great
coming
job.
out.
Great
Here
new
it is.
special. It's called You Know Me, premiering next Tuesday, August 27th on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GregFitzsimmonsComedy. And again, he's going to be in Louisville Comedy Club in Kentucky, August 23rd and 24th. Comedy Works in Denver, the 29th and the 31st. After that, Austin, the Mothership, Temecula, California. For tickets and all tour dates, go to GregFitzsimmons.com.
Collection was released for PS3.
Requesting advanced weaponry. Requesting orbital. Requesting sentry. Get some! Get some! Requesting advanced weaponry.
Calling down a support weapon. Throwing supply beacon. Requesting sentry.
Calling in orbital strike. On tunnel breach.
Orbital inbound. Sending in an eagle. Have a taste of democracy.
I'm out.
Lost tunnel breach.
Mag's empty.
I'm out.
Orbital inbound.
Orbital barrage incoming. Stand clear.
Reloading.
Calling down a support weapon.
You may extract with honor. Extraction shuttle inbound.
You will never destroy our way of life.
Falcon 1 arriving at coordinates.
Calling down a sentry.
Deploying sentry.
Requesting
squadron.
Greetings, Helldiver. The Galactic War awaits.